Welcome back to another episode of Unranked Podcast. You got Grant, also got Eli here. What we're going to dive into today is potential fits for the fifth pick. As everybody knows, the Pistons, that's where they're going to be selecting in this year's draft. So we just plan on having a little discussion and dialogue around who we think are best fit for the team overall. So I'm going to pass it off to you. We've been doing a little bit of research over the last week, just talking about some different players that we think would fit best in the system, some guys that would be available at that spot. So just want to hear, who you think would be best fit and why.
Yeah, so I'm the player that's kind of standing out to me the most would be Taylor Hendricks, Central Florida power forward slash center. It looks like he might transition best into the league as kind of a stretch four, a 3-and-D guy. And that's kind of the biggest thing that kind of jumps off the page to me is just how versatile he is on versatile and skilled on both offense and defensively.
Yeah.
And I think that's the thing that we obviously can. I don't know the actual facts on this, but I'd imagine we were probably the worst defensive team in the league last year, if not top of that list for sure. One of that list for sure. So I think whoever we get has to be defensive minded. Obviously, we got Monty Williams as a coach. He's going to bring a defensive mind as well. I think we have to begin to turn the page to at least keep people under 120 points a game. And I think a player like Hendricks begins to get that done. Just kind of rattling off some of his stats here. He's 6'9", 210 pounds, averaged 15 a game, 7 rebounds, and just shy of 2 blocks a game. I think that's a guy that definitely gets it done on both sides of the court. 2 blocks a game is phenomenal when you consider the rim protection and just watch his highlight tape. The 2 blocks easily could have been north of like 3 because just some of the shots he was affecting, keeping people away from rim in general. I think that's needed in any whether it's this NBA of this time or NBA of 30 years ago. You're going to need a guy to play defense. You're going to need a guy to kind of put the defensive what's what I'm looking for, kind of put the idea of being tough on defense on his shoulders. And I think this might be one of the guys that can do that. A lot of other guys on our team might be slightly more offensive, or if you're talking about a guy like Boban, he probably doesn't even, he's probably 5-on-4 back on defense.
Liability, yeah.
Yeah. So I think these are type of players that are type of player I think we should target. Full disclosure, looking at this, he could easily probably go like 9 through 12, and obviously we're sitting at the fifth pick. We'll have to kind of play that by ear, but I think we'll be pretty active on draft day. As far as I think we have a couple of players that we potentially want to move, whether that's a Killian or a Bagley, Bogdanovich maybe. I'm not sure how crazy we would get, but I imagine we're going to be pretty active. Troy Weaver is one of the guys that's a chess master, and I think with the couple of young players that we have with their favorable contracts and kind of just the all of what they could still be, whether it's a Killian Hayes or a Bagley. Somebody still thinks they can take those players, and they maybe still can take those players and turn them into the top picks that they were. They may have just forced with us, and it's time to get a little more new blood in there. So that's kind of why I think, Taylor Hendricks is the top of my list on here. And I'm going to go. I'm not sure. I would have to pull this back up. I forget who they had their player comparison list as. Let me see here. I'm going to pull it back up. But the player comparison, it's not on this one. But I'm kind of pulling it out, and I'm kind of hoping that best case scenario, he turns into a Jaren Jackson. I think that's kind of what I see in him. A guy that's keeps that defense spread out, keep the lane open for both Ivy and Cunningham, as well as a rim protector on defensive side. And he shot 39, basically 40% from 3 this year, 39.4. He hit 61 threes out of 155. And as the comparison, Jaren at Michigan State only hit 38 threes. He was 38 at 96. So he's practically double the amount of threes that Jaren Jackson hit. Obviously, everybody knows Tom Izzo's not letting you fly that much, but I think that was just a little bit stood out to me because that's who I was looking at. If everything goes well, that's who he'll be. And he hit practically double the amount of threes that Jaren Jackson had in his 1 year at State. So that's kind of how I look. Best case scenario, I think, he's sitting there looking at, we're looking at a Jaren Jackson 2.0, somewhere around that 17 and 10 mark, couple of blocks a game, shooting, north of 38% from three.
Yeah.
That's who I envision if who I think he'll be in the league in a couple of seasons.
Yeah, and I think it's interesting, just even like looking at the fit and just kind of seeing, I really look at him as he got that three ball, kind of like a stretch four, can play it, kind of like split. He's like what, like 6'10", 6'9", the smaller, make a smaller side for like a 5. He fit right in there with, Duren. Is Duren, like, I didn't really watch much of the Pistons this year. I know you didn't really watch a ton either. Is he like a shot blocker like that? I didn't want to like put it on him but I feel like you can never can have enough shot blocking. I think like having a couple guys that's able to really just protect the rim is also something I have.
I know he can rebound out of this world. That's probably his bread and butter. As far as blocks, I just looked it up here. He's at 0.7 a game, so nothing jumping off the page too crazy. Obviously, he was the youngest player in the league last year, and it's only up from here. He averaged 9 and 9 this year.
Yeah, so, solid.
And he's the muscle. I think if you got Cade, you got Ivy, you got Bogdanovich or somebody designated shooter in that role. You got Duren at the center.
Yeah,
I think he will kind of fit into this because you look here, it looks like Duren didn't even attempt a 3 this season.
Mm-hmm.
So, he's not, and I know we've already tried the Isaiah Stewart shoot 3s. We tried all that, and I think obviously he's
trying to get there.
I don't want to shit on his progress that he's had, but
he's getting there.
Like we said this time last year, if we had Isaiah Stewart out there shooting 3s, something went wrong. And I would say the same exact thing this year. We need Ivy, we need Duren, we need Boban shooting 3s, and maybe somebody like Taylor Hendricks.
Definitely.
So
definitely stretch that floor.
I think he'll fit good at that stretch 4. And if we still have somebody like Bagley, put a little pressure on him. Bagley doesn't play all that often, so even if this kid stays healthy, he's going to get more minutes. So
Okay. Yeah, no, I wonder what you think about him. You think he got a little as a 3? You think I don't really see it in him, but I just,
I think he would have to like more revolutionize his game. So a lot of the highlights I watched, he wasn't cooking off the dribble or taking
I need a little handle. Yeah.
A lot of stuff around the rim, a lot of stuff, spot and shoot. So I think, not to say he can't do that. I definitely in the highlights I watched a few like only game highlights because I understand that anybody worth talking about can put together a good 2-minute highlight tape of the whole season. I want to see what he in a couple of key games, and where they just slicing up the plays, and he looked good. But
the
last couple points I make is his most points he had in the game this year is 25. Most blocks he had 4 twice. He had a couple of 11 rebound games. So some couple of dominating. Obviously 25 points is not crazy, but if he wasn't the primary scorer, I don't know, all positive signs I'm thinking about. Now, where exactly he'll go in the draft, I think 5 honestly might be a bit too early, but I think this would be a little bit of one of those, hey, if we start cooking up and getting trades and something like that, I could see this happening.
No, for sure. I agree with you on that. Okay. Yeah, no, I think, we're definitely out too. You never know. It's all mock drafts at this point. Teams still meet with players and stuff. And, once after the final starts, I think that's where teams really got the green light to start trades and everything. And that's almost like new league year starting. So time will tell, where he falls at. What I'm going to do is go ahead and jump into the player that I think would be the best fit for the Pistons. That's Cam Whitmore, the forward out of Villanova. I was watching quite a bit of his highlights this last week or so, a couple different days. And first thing I noticed about him, he's like very polished. Hendricks is polished too. But like I don't know, you usually see a lot of these guys that are. I mean, he's turned 19 in July, and you just see kind of quite a few of these guys that tend to be able to like attack the rim, quite a bit. Don't always had a jump shot right away, but he was shooting 47% from the field, 34% from three. I mean, that's crazy, crazy efficient for a college freshman. And I'd say Tad, not unheard of, but pretty decent. And just noticed that he's also able to score from different levels, get to the rim, explosive, able to finish over top of people through contact. Mid range, got a little bit of the mid range going. Or basically now it's just like over the cup or shoot overall, but just showing that he has a little bit of that too. Can dribble a little bit. I definitely see a lot of. I feel like Miles Bridges, like it's they almost essentially the same player to where he can probably play a little bit of the four. But I think he's like 6'5", 6'6". So he could probably, most in some lineups here and there, I think he could play a little bit of that too. Could definitely put him at the two. Could definitely see him kind of coming into the, if they were to pick and come in the system as like a 6th, 7th man, just kind of working into the rotation. I don't know what you think. I mean, he being fifth overall, I guess it kind of depends. Fifth overall, you probably want him to start in lineup, but I mean, I feel like this depends what Bogdanovich gonna really be at. But if we have off Bogdanovich, I think if we were to get Whitmore, he probably would be in that starting lineup. It just kind of depends what happens. But I do and he played defense. I mean, that's one of the biggest things, I read about him. Like competes on the defensive side of the ball, something they definitely need. Just a guy with very polished overall, and I think he would be a very solid contribution early on.
Yeah, so I know people are. I don't know if I brought this up, but I know similar to Taylor Hendricks, some of the downside about him was how low he was ranked in high school. And that obviously this guy is one of the more highly touted guys coming out of high school.
Yeah,
just kind of see the how the cookie crumbles. So no, I agree with you on that. People have had eyes on and I see a lot of people saying that he could be. Obviously, everybody talks about Wemby and everybody talks about Scoop. He seems to kind of be Pistons world, but Cam Whitmore seems to kind of be one of like that, probably like the 4th guy people are talking about the most.
Yeah. Houston.
Yeah. Yep. So I think that's very interesting, and he's one of those things where depending on how Brandon Miller or whoever somebody else like that falls, he could easily be there at 5 for us. So I think that's a good case scenario. So I don't know if you had that. Did you say what was his 3 percentage?
34%.
34. Yeah.
So
if he was depending on how many he was shooting, he could definitely live with that. If he was like Jet Howard,
right? But getting them off. No, I'm just looking. I can pull it up here real quick. Just go through his first. Let's see. Go from the top down. So his last game's going back. So 0 for 3, 3 for 5, 1 for 5, 3 for 4, 1 for 2, 0 for 2, 0 for 5, 1 for 4, 2 for 3. I mean, he's anywhere from 2 to 3 a game, 2 to 4 a game. So he should have had a pretty decent clip. Had a couple lulls there, as a freshman would, but playing in the Big East too. I think the one thing that I don't think it's a downside. They did have a pretty bad season. So I don't know if that could, I'm not gonna over scout him, thinking to where might kind of contribute to how he play or anything along them lines. But I think overall though, he played pretty solid in the East. I know they also had some injuries too that played a little bit of a factor as well. But he played pretty good in the Big East.
And one of them guys that Villanova has a kind of a history of putting like guards that kind of go under the radar. That's very legit. Your Brunsons, your things of that nature. I think if he could fall in that line, obviously due to being a Michigan fan, I'm not the biggest fan of him, but Jay Wright obviously can coach, get the most out of play, has the right culture there. So, getting a player that was from that ilk.
Tell me.
I know I'm not even sure who the hell Central Florida's coach is. So, I mean, knowing that Jay Wright was in his ear, having the right thing said, coach Wright.
We actually do though, Dawkins, because his son used to go to Michigan. for UCF, I think. Yeah, I think it is Dawkins. There was at some point. But I was thinking too, even with like they not having the best record, imagine if Villanova did make the tournament, went to the Sweet 16. He could be, toe to toe with Brandon Miller.
Right.
That's another thing. You never know. Just kind of like you start doing that spotlight a little bit bigger. I know Brandon Miller obviously had was like player of the year in the SEC and everything, and they won like the conference championship. But yeah, that's one thing too. He might be a lot more sought after these next few weeks than we see now.
Right. That's true. Yeah, I mean those tournament runs
they can help you.
Slingshot you up in the draft. I agree. And getting bounced early drops you way back. Sometimes for good or bad. So I agree with that. So I'm not mad at it. I just want to. This it's kind of an interesting draft because I was looking at the French kid. I was looking at Scoot. I never once would have thought we'd have to be this far back. But now I think it's interesting, and I think we have a good roster. And it's just this draft, and we can't keep saying this. This draft is pivotal because it's that always there's the guy that's an all-star that was taken at 12 or that was taken at 17 or whatever the case is. You just got to go find them guys. And I think we should all, like I said before, we're too bad to be drafting for solely position. We do have to get the best guy sitting there because a 16-win team means you don't got no talent on the team. And so we got talent across the board. Obviously, people could talk about whether Cade was playing or not, how many more wins we would have got or whether we turned it off. But I think, I'm looking forward to some new blood and hopefully these guys, one or both of them are sitting there. We can kind of be happy people, So
yeah, absolutely.
And I didn't really scout anybody else. I know we're going to try to circle the block back and look at a couple more people.
Yeah.
Like I said, Pierre kind of got pulled from under me on this because Taylor Hendricks, 2 weeks ago when I brought him up, I seen him at like 7. So it didn't seem that crazy. And then now, I just looked before we hopped on here, I seen that mock draft, him going 13 after Jett Howard. So, it's one of those things you never know, but I feel pretty good about this guy. And I agree with you on Cam Whitmore as well. I think he's there. And then, so I'm excited. I just want to, it's a weird time for a new Pistons fan here.
Yeah. One thing I just kind of telling myself for the last couple of weeks is Jaden Ivey was 5th and he was on the all-rookie team. So I think, you can't be mad at that in the end of the world, picking that 5th. And I trust the front office to do its best. You got a lot of options. So in due time over these next few weeks, we'll, just look at a couple different scenarios, look at a couple different players, look at some more mock drafts and have some more discussion around that. And a couple weeks out from the draft, 2 weeks from tonight, if I'm not mistaken, or for tomorrow. Yeah. Mistaken.
Sure. No, yeah. Right on spot. And because it's the 22nd. Yeah, no, you're right. That thing's coming up fast. No, sure. So you got anything else for the people?
Nope, that's all I got. I'll be back with you all next week.
Yes, sir. All right. Peace.